How we doing there, boys and girls? Good morning. Welcome in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy brunch, happy siesta, whatever. Welcome in. Okay. Let's check what chaos is going on today then, shall we? Hope everybody's well. Right, let's get things set up and running. Whoa, 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 Twitch, what you do? Oh, Twitch, please. Okay. I need to fix that. Anybody currently watching an advert, I apologise. Stupid Twitch. These adverts piss me off. I wish I could just turn all of them off. Just turn all of them off, please. Not possible, though, unfortunately. Right, today we're going to do a little bit of alpha. I want to, I have a suspicion that we don't have all that long left to play around with the alpha. You should just subscribe, no ads. Well, that is true. That is true. I want to have a little bit of a play around with Alchemy today because I was looking through the videos we've done, the first impressions videos, and I realised we're missing Alchemy. We're also technically missing cooking, but I'm not sure if I'm actually that bothered about doing a video specifically for cooking. Maybe that can wait till the beta. But I do have the suspicion that we may not have much long left with the alpha in its current state. Usually what happens is that they will give us the alpha for a few weeks. Then they take it all down, and then length of time goes, and then they launch a beta. They like to regenerate some hype, because I've noticed this myself, because luckily I have analytics to back this sort of stuff up, but I've noticed that the attention towards the alpha has been diminishing over the weeks that it's been out. I'm quite sure Blizzard sees the same. So they'll probably take the alpha down, a couple of weeks will go past, then they'll launch a beta. Hopefully, let's keep fingers crossed, that they throw a whole bunch of people into the beta. Because that's what's been severely lacking, I think, in the alpha, is just people. It's great that there are a few people who've been given access to it. I'm kind of thankful that I was one of them. But it's a bit hard to sort of really get a feel for the game when there's about 10 people playing it. But all that said, I want to take a little bit of a look at Alchemy today in a bit more detail. I was trying to do some more leveling yesterday. Last night I tried to log on and do a little bit more leveling. The problem with that being is that my hunter's scuffed for some reason. He's unable to put points in his spec tree. He's for some reason just bricked. I can't necessarily work out why, so any progress I've made leveling that hunter is now basically in the bin, which is put a bit of an, you know, we were just getting to the end of the first zone. Kind of annoying, but what month did you think Dragonflight will come? I'm not a big one for leaks. I'm not a big one for like backing the leaks, but it was leaked a few days ago. Let me see if I can find it. I tweeted it out, I think. Did I tweet it out? Where's my tweets? I'm quite sure I tweeted it out.
Let's make sweet profit together.
Carney, thank
Another
you very
month
much.
has passed.
Another one has gone. And another one. And another one. Thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Where was it? I swear I tweeted this out the other day. There was a... Here we go. There was a post. There was a post that was leaked. There was a post that was leaked, and it was indicating when certain things was going to happen. Now, like I said, I'm not necessarily so much one for leaks, but this kind of feels very similar to what I would have expected it to be anyway. So, for example, we have here WoW Classic Wrath of the Lich King pre-patch and pre-sale goes live August 30th. This was leaked before this was known to be the case. This is true. This ended up being true. Overwatch 2 PvP launch, blah, blah, blah. WoW 10.0 pre-patch, October 25th, with a World of Warcraft 10.0 global launch on November 28th. Now, the only thing there is that it states to be a Monday. I don't know if that's the only thing that gives me a bit of a feeling that, I'm not sure, because normally they would release it on a Tuesday, but maybe if they're actually planning on this time doing a global launch, this could be big. We've been asking for like, maybe that's the only thing that would push it to a different day, but August, September, October, November. Yeah, November 28th is actually a Monday, which feels odd. You'd kind of expect it to come out the 29th, but I would imagine that this is not far from the truth either way. I mean, there's not really much play. Let's be honest. If they want it to be, if they want it to be in 2022, then they kind of need to do it one of these weeks, really. People don't want the raid launching over the holiday season. That's the only difficulty. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Bit of Diablo 4 pre-purchase going live in December. Maybe we'll maybe we'll use some of the first few weeks easy gold making to pay for Diablo with Battle.net balance. We'll see. We'll see. I don't see fixing WoW's auction house anywhere on that leaked calendar. No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. But there was, on that note, there was some hot fixes that supposedly are going out for that. Where did I see those? Where did I see those? It's on the 10.3 roadmap. Oh, Lord. It's going to be weird that we're now going to be in, like, patch 10 point something. I don't know. It's always been single-digit patches. It's going to just feel weird. 10.3 just looks funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But there were some somewhere. Let's see if I can find them. There were some. Yeah, here we go. Some indication that there are going to be. Let's see if I can find the blue tracker. Nope. Either way, there's a hot fix coming for the auction house that's going to. It will probably go live with this reset. So. We might only have one more day of the auction house being scuffed. And boy oh boy is it still broken. It's not so bad on EU. It seems to have held up a lot stronger on the EU. On the NA though, it's completely busted. But it's interesting to me to see just how things have kind of found their, how do you describe it, their balancing point now. Most materials, most materials generally, and even some commodity items, like the Spectral Flask of Power, for example, has pretty much been 270 to 280 gold for about 3 or 4 days now. Which is no surprise, right? Because when you look at the actual crafting cost, it's 270 gold to make the thing. So people are making like 4 or 5 gold profit on every single flask that they craft, which is madness, right? Because at that point you might as well just be doing a vendor shuffle and not taking the risk. But but then again, you're probably, if you're being a filthy sniper and you're snagging a bunch of these materials on the cheap, and then instead of just reselling the herbs, you're crafting them into flasks, then maybe. I don't know why you'd do that, because if you are being a filthy sniper and you're just snagging the cheap materials, just resell the materials. It's just like, what's the point? I think expansion releases are usually on Mondays, at least Shadowlands was, November 23rd. Oh, that might make sense, actually. You might be right. Yeah, I suppose if they're doing a global launch, that does sort of make sense, I suppose. I guess. Yeah, the quantities seem to have sort of found their balance point. The price of stuff also seems to have found its balance point. Now, most of the most of the basic materials are now sat at whatever their new floor price is. So Desolate Leather, for example, 2.5 gold is the floor price on Desolate Leather. Anytime it goes less than that, people are snapping it up instantly because it can be shuffled. The new shuffle for Desolate Leather, I mean, I might actually sculpt this into a little video maybe, because a lot of people were both surprised and intrigued by the fact that the vendor shuffles have changed slightly. It's pretty much now 2.5 gold for your Desolate Leather. Anything under that, I think, what was it you're making? We looked at this briefly yesterday. I think what are you crafting up nowadays? You're making the, is it the arm guards? Yeah, arm guards, because they only use one thread. If you can get your leather for like Desolate Leather for like 2.5 gold. If we put Desolate Leather here at 2.5. 2.5. Yeah, there you go. You're making like 1.77 gold per arm guard that you shuffle, which is still pretty tragic. Still pretty tragic, to be honest. If you're vet, I mean, you can only, that's like 15. Let's say that's less than 3,000 gold an hour. I mean, that's pretty offensively bad. Less than 3,000 gold an hour is gross. Barely worth the mailbox and the inventory management. Yeah, but it's one of those things, you know, the leather is in almost unlimited supply. You can also, I think if you get your Pallet Bones somewhere around the, if you get your Pallet Bones relatively cheap as well, you can do some bits. Desolate Scale Treads, by the looks of things, seems to be the more valuable one. Actually, that might be a better solution, full stop. Obviously, it requires you to get 2 materials. But if you look at... realistically, Pallet Bones is like 1.25 gold currently, is where it's sort of sitting at. Which would mean 1.25 gold on your Pallet Bones. You don't need anywhere near as many of them. Yeah, you are much better off shuffling the arm guards or the treads of the Desolate Scale set, if you can also get some Pallet Bones on the cheap. Then you're getting it. I know it's having it white text is actually a downside in this spreadsheet because you can't see it very well, but 3.25 gold per shuffle on those is a better use of your time. It's still not really much more than like, it's probably 5,000 gold an hour, but if you're doing it AFK and you haven't got much gold to begin with, then you know it might be a thing. But that obviously requires you to get your materials at a good price. This is the whole vendor shuffle thing. This will just be this is just what the prices will be for this stuff now. You'll find this huge, great big glut of it at the 2.5 gold mark. Anything below it will sell instantly. Anything above it just won't sell. Pallet Bones are actually, yeah, see, Pallet Bones, the big quantity of them is 1.4 gold. 1.4 gold if we put that in for bones. Yeah, 3 gold a piece per treads. 1,500 gold an hour. Times 3. Yeah, 4,500 gold. Sure. Not for me, but I can see why people do it. You're going to have to get your lacerite ore disgustingly cheap to make any blacksmithing stuff worthwhile. And if you can do something with the essences, if you could, like I said, this is a big if, but if you can do something with the essences, shuffling some lacerite is also not terrible right now in jewel crafting. But like I said, that means that you've got to do... This is making the assumption that you're valuing your gems at only 2.5 gold a piece. So that puts heavy emphasis on you also doing something with the essences. If you do not, you know, meet a threshold with your essences, then this is still not going to work. You can change both text color and fill with conditional formatting. Yeah, I probably could or should do that. Maybe next time. Maybe for Dragonflight. Maybe for Dragonflight. I'm not going to go through and start changing it now. I can see it perfectly fine. It's just probably not all that clear on stream. That's the problem. Unless you've got me full screen. But yeah, these numbers, the vendor shuffle, profit and loss on jewel crafting could be a bit of a bait. Because like I said, if you don't sell your essences for enough, which is tricky business nowadays, you're still not guaranteed these. This is why I almost didn't put jewel crafting on this vendor shuffle sheet, because it's not quite totally true. I mean, I'm quite sure you could probably actually buy these gems if you wanted to. If you buy the gems off the auction house, actually, what are they on the auction house? Oriblas. What are the three? Oriblas, Anger's Eye, and the other one. Oriblas, Umbriel, right? Oh god. Umbriel. Yeah, so you can't actually buy the gems off the auction house for 2.5 gold. So you're kind of having to prospect to get them. So it's a bit more risky doing the jewel crafting one. Still people firing out baits to try and catch people off. Lithium ore at 25 gold a piece. This is just wild. This is wild. Nex are still selling well. Are they really? I've not been focused on legendaries for a little while, but it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. There's still plenty of people out there that are not aggressively progressing, but at least playing. And as long as there's people at least playing the game, then it's, you know, not tragic. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Ooh, I don't particularly want another 50,000 Shadowgast ingots. It's a bit of a big Lego, BIS Lego shake-up now, where you want Legos in your lowest stat slot, because Legos are now your lowest item level. Yeah, that's true, but there's far, far less people that min-max in the last patch. So there's a lot of people out there that just don't care. Basically, my entire raid team has recrafted all their Legos in different slots. Really? Okay. That surprises me. But like I said, I'm not particularly deep in crafting right now. Pog essences are still kicking about at like 2.5 to 2.8k. At least you can buy them on Team EU. Team EU have had it good for Pog essences. Team NA, on the other hand, have had some problems from what I've seen. Jesus. Still a lot of gold. Yeah, Team NA is a bit in the bin for Pot Essence, unfortunately. Hopefully Blizzard will step in and fix that quick enough. Wow! Where did all the Corthite crystals go? There was like 3 times as many Corthite crystals yesterday. There's clearly, what is this, Tuesday? Yeah, there's clearly some people's auctions have expired. Whoa! Does this person realise how expensive that was? And I shit you not, that's probably one person. That's somebody resetting the entire Corthite crystal market to 1,000 gold apiece. Oh my word. I wonder if they understand just how expensive it is to post those. I'm intrigued now. Browse, Corthite. It probably won't show me all the sellers' names, unfortunately. Yeah, it's not going to show me the sellers' names, so I can't even determine for definite whether it's actually just, you know, a single person that's done it or not. But damn. 15% of the vendor sell price for every 12 hours. They posted them for 48 hours as well. What did I do with my Corthite crystals? Did I vendor them? Oh, most of them. If you post one for 48 hours, it's 18.75 gold just to post one for 48 hours. Oh my lord. 18.75 multiplied by how many was it? How many did that presumably want? 5,400. 5,407. Oh my god, somebody spent 100k just listing these. Just listing them. Just listing them. There's 100,000 gold in cost just listing these. Oh, somebody might regret that in the morning. Junior Goblin mistake. I mean, he's set to make, you know, like, if they were to sell, there's 5.4 million gold worth of Corthite crystals there if they were to sell. And if they were to sell, you'd get your deposit back. But my days. Somebody's, I hope somebody realised what they did there. I know a guy who'd sell him a gold toilet, just saying. Yeah. Woof. $2,500 in here, look. Damn. These are, at least these are more likely to actually sell. Posting them at 1,000. Damn. Incoming thread on WoW economy. Rank 6 is hot right now. It would have to be real hot. Like on fire level hot. The only thing I'm very tempted to do is reset these Shadowgast ingots, you know. There's only 80,000 Shadowgast ingots. Considering everybody is likely to be recrafting and restocking today in preparation for tomorrow, there's a lot of 1.4 mil to buy out, like over half the because this chunk is mine already. 1.4 mil plus nothing really. You're looking at 1.5 mil to reset Shadowgast ingots again. Woo! It's tempting. It's tempting. Buy it. Crazy Tuesday incoming. I mean, I'm already sat on 25,000 Shadowgast ingots though. I don't particularly need another 50,000 of them. No one's got time to craft that stuff. Well, for reference, there was somewhere in the region of about 150,000 Shadowgast ingots last night, so there's a good chance that just a few people's have expired, which means it's only going to take them as long as it takes to just log on and repost them. And this big buffer here of 25,000 of them is the problem, really, is the problem. Now, if I could persuade somebody else to do it, then I'd be on for a win. But I don't think it's... for reference, I did a bit of a reset on Shadowgast ingots on Saturday, and saw some pretty good success from it, if I'm going to be honest. Let me see if I can show revenue... Shadowgast ingots. There was a point for an hour or so where I was comfortably selling them again. Let's see here, 43 gold until we got into, like, I went from here, we were selling them at 43 gold a piece. This quantity here, all the way down to about here is when it tanked back to where it was. So we've got, what are we saying? We sold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17. So we sold about 17,000 Shadowgast ingots before the market reset itself back to where it was. So we was able to sell 17,000 at a nice little markup. 17,000, multiply that by, I don't know how much profit was on each one. Probably 10 gold, 170k profit flipping those. But then the market went back to where it was, and since then I've burnt through a bunch of them just so I don't get stuck with too many. Practically in many cases, unfortunately, just giving the profit straight back, but why I'm less inclined to do it again. But just to showcase what happens when you do actually try big play flips. They are possible, but you're taking considerably more of a risk, especially on an item that is technically a crafted item, of which its crafted value is dropping day by day as the ore needed to craft it is getting cheaper and cheaper day by day. So those big plays, those big flips are, you know, they're possible, but they're still risky. There's not much else that, you know, jumps out. There's a significantly lesser quantity of Progenitor Essentia kicking about as well. There's been 12 to 15,000 Progenitor Essentia for a fair few days. I'm strongly of the opinion that because it's still quite early in the morning, well, it's nearly midday for me, but for most Europeans it's still early. Probably meaning that there's lots of expireds in people's mailboxes. I've had more success with the little flips, little and often. Yeah, if you can find those cheeky deals. Cheeky deals are there for sure. The best thing to do is try and you know, wait for somebody to do the low ball like this, and then steal whatever comes before they grab it. It's kind of the closest to a moral victory as you can get. You're not the scumbag that's deliberately lowballing and scamming somebody else, but that's, you know, once they've pressed the button, it's each to their own. You can see just how frequently stuff changes here, though. And every once in a while, you'll see that 1 gold one appear. And then somebody will post 1,000 on top of it. It's actually interesting. I might test this, you know. I might test this at sort of, I'll pick 1 hour. Like a 60-minute window. Just how much can you snipe from the snipers? How many good deals can you get in like in an hour. If you gave a toon 100k to spend, could you turn that 100k into 200k in an hour just by stealing the baits off people? Like this. You know, when somebody posts something cheap. And what's that? That's nearly 500 desolate leather I've sniped already. In like a fraction of a, you know. 50 silver profit on each one. I've made 250 gold in about a minute. That's like a world quest. A world quest's worth of gold in a, you know, a fraction of a second. And at peak times, you'll probably find that, you know, the traffic on the auction house is so ridiculous that there'll be far more opportunities. I bet shrouded cloth it's happening on all the time. Yeah, it's happening on desolate leather still. You could turn it into a mini game, just buying the baits. I still can't help but feel it's, you know, it's very, very close to just a scumbag play. But like I said, I'm more of the opinion that if you are the one that's actively baiting people, I disagree with that, because you are deliberately trying to scam people. But if somebody else comes along and they post their stuff on the auction house and it's on the auction house, it's fair game, because they you know, they took the bait. They tend to switch when they notice somebody stealing the baits. But see, this is the only thing that leaves me to believe that this may not necessarily be automated. It could just be so many people out there posting like 1 gold listings. There might just be sheer quantity of people trying to do it. And for some reason, everybody's just following in suit like a sheep. See, now it's happening on a lithium ore. I mean, I'll have that just because. There's 20 gold right there. See, that's gross, look. 46 lithium ore for 46 gold. That shouldn't happen. But once somebody's posted it, it's fair game. If you're not paying attention to what you're posting, that's kind of your fault. 5 gold? Somebody's being creative now, look. Yeah, they hop and they skip about. They move between. They move between different items. Piranhas. Oh, go on then. I reckon, you know, if we did this for an hour, we'd actually come away with quite a lot of. This is probably a 50k an hour gold farm. This is disgusting, and this is like midday. This isn't even prime time. Oh, I don't want to turn this into a YouTube video because it's gross. But this is wild. I didn't realise it was quite this ridiculous. What have we just grabbed then? Don't promote it more, please. People will do more of the 1 gold scams. People are already doing it. This is the point. When did I sell some unbehide legs? How's that happened? Why was I posting those for 48 hours? What an idiot. Do it. I want more baits to buy. Well, yeah, this is the thing, right? I like sometimes just running in and yoinking what's there. It's gross, right? Because this becomes the meta. Cancel scanning, you know, the easiest way to the easiest way to get rid of the cancel scan meta is to make something more powerful. And that thing that's more powerful now is, unfortunately, scouring the auction house as fast as you can for cheap deals. So instead of, like, it goes to the mantra that I've always tried to push of you should try and get your materials at the cheapest price. The cheaper you can get your materials, the better off you'll be with crafting. But this is kind of just frustrating in a fashion of that it's directly at the detriment of other players, which is not something I particularly like. But you can see again here, look, you know. See, even the betas aren't taking their own, like, it's funny that they're waiting for a big payout. Oh dear, it just feels gross. It just feels gross. I'm not particularly fond of the whole thing, but sometimes you just got to play the game, right? If the game's there to be played, sometimes you just got to play it. I don't even know why First Flower is holding its value so much. The profitable thing is probably doing it on Pog Essence, to be honest. How much would you need to make by the time the auction house has had its 5% cut? You need to get them for 2.5k. Anything under 2.5k, you can then instantly flip it and make a profit off it, even if it's only a few gold here and there, like that, for example. Oh, they went quick. But yeah, so no longer are you bothered about cancelling and relisting your crafted items anymore. You can make significantly more gold this way. Damn. You are right though. It's not really something I want to overly promote, which is annoying. I'd rather keep I'd rather keep my gold making strategies, like I'd rather promote white hat strategies rather than black hat strategies. Fishing 2.0, yeah. Probably get this question a lot about how much gold you make an hour on average. I don't track my gold on an hourly basis. I don't know. Let me put it this way. Since Shadowlands has started, I've made about 100 million gold. So in, you know, less than 2 years, 50 million gold a year. I look at my gold based on like weekly amounts and monthly amounts. Tracking it by gold is a sort of a farming mindset, where you are directly trading your time for gold. I try not to think about it, you know. I try to optimize it, sure, but I don't really track it that closely. 15k an hour buying baits. I mean, at the moment, this because of the way the auction house is, it's just gross. It does very quickly become, and as you can see, right, you anything that you buy, you throw it back up on the auction house, and it's sold within seconds. That leather resold instantly. Those fish resold instantly. That lithium ore, those 47 lithium ore that we bought for a total of 47 gold. We paid 1 gold each for these lithium ore. We've now instantly flipped them for 1,000 gold. Why would you do callings? This is the problem, right? This is the annoyance of it. Why would you do callings? Why would you farm materials? Why would you do anything other than this? This is why so many people are doing it, which is annoying. Like in a 5 minutes. Obviously, it takes me 60 minutes to get this gold, but in a matter of 5 minutes, I've made more gold than I would have done by going out doing callings. It's just, yeah, it's a thing. Annoyingly so, it's a thing. I can't in good faith say that I'm, you know, happy about it being a thing, but it is. Oh god. Oof, we almost had it then. Play the game or get played. Like I said, if you've got the gold to do it, even flipping Progenitor Essentia is a viable option. Just you got to, with this sort of stuff, you just got to remember, keep in mind, you know, auction house fees. 5% every time you sell something. 270 gold, 135 gold is what you'd pay if to sell at this price. So you need to then be buying it. You know, you'd want to be like 2.5, less than 2.5. If you're good at maths, you can do this on the fly. If you're not so good at maths, just get a calculator out. But yeah, it's gross, and it does feel way too much like I'm promoting bad habits here. So let's jump onto. I want to jump onto the alpha. I want to go test alchemy on the alpha. I want to see what. I've looked at alchemy previously, but I want to look at it in a little bit more detail before we potentially lose the alpha at some point. Right, so yeah, this dude was completely busted yesterday. I couldn't do anything with him, so let's just make a new. Yeah, gnome, that'll do, whatever, I don't care. We're not going to actually play the character. Ha! The name Herbs is available. Sure. We're not going to step foot outside of Stormwind anyway, so it doesn't matter. Right, here we go. Alrighty. Right, let's go find where profession trainer is for alchemy. Oh, actually, thinking about it, I've made a max level character, haven't I? I might be better off. Are there cheat vendors? Are there cheat vendors on Inbound Draken? I might actually need to do this again and not be. Yeah, I can't easily test professions, I don't think. In Valdraken, which is weird, right? Because that's where you kind of expect to. But I don't think all the cheat vendors are here. And by cheat vendors, I mean like all of the dudes that just give you free materials to level stuff. Yeah, Reagent fella doesn't actually. Yeah, okay. There doesn't appear to be cheat vendors. Herbalism, please? No, not yet. Boo. Okay. Ooh, while I'm here, I occasionally like to stop by the work order vendor just to see if they've changed anything with this. What did it say? Placeholder DNL? What's DNL stand for? PH stands for placeholder. DN is usually do not, but do not what? DNT is do not translate. What's DNL? Do not look. Close your eyes. No peeking. Alright, fine. Okay, this one looks exactly the same. Public, any quality. Guild only, then you get to select the quality. Yeah, nothing here has changed. Do not load. Yeah, either way, it's still not really a thing. Okay, Scrap this dude then. Let's. I need to make a. Can't wait to do work orders for a 2 gold tip. It's gonna be fun, right? Okay, sure. We can get creative with the names. Guess what this character's gonna do? We've got double music on the go. I'd rather have Dragonflight tunes going. I don't need double tunes. Dun, 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 dun. Now, the more that I look at what we have with Dragonflight, the more I think that the ability for players, at least from a crafting perspective, to keep up to speed with multiple professions is going to be really tough. Since, frustratingly so, it feels like there's going to be lots of rep grinding involved with every profession. Rep grinding, which is going to be time gated at the same time, which only goes to frustrate me further, because everybody knows how much I love my time gating. Right, Alchemy. We're going to need some herbs. Let's put this on our bars. Okay. It's had its update. It's now showing the... let's grab a bunch of herbs to begin with. Where's the Master Botanist? Here he is. Can't wait to do 2x4 farms to make 10 million in 2 weeks. That will also probably be a thing. That music's really loud, though. Can we chill with the music, please? That'll do. Hockenbloom. I'm hoping, keeping fingers crossed, that we have an alpha update today, because we are still missing herbalism, we're still missing mining, we're still missing enchanting, primary profession, that are just straight up not even implemented yet. It's going to feel very weird if they transition from alpha to beta without even giving us access to one of the primary professions in the game. I can sort of understand the gathering professions, or at least I can give them a free pass on the gathering professions, because you could argue that they don't really matter quite as much, even though... Or they don't matter from a systems perspective quite as much. I mean, they have, you know, they are the be-all and end-all as far as crafting and the economy goes, but... do we need any of these things yet? Probably not. Let's find out. We'll wait. Right. So, let me see if I can remember how this worked before. Okay, we can now turn off the ones we've learned and only show the unlearned ones. Okay, the filters are smarter now. I like that. I wonder if they fixed the experimentation. Oh, you know what? I bet they haven't left the cheat book, have they? For alchemists. Oh, I bet they haven't. Huh. Great. Okay, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult. By the way, now with a global auction house, is there any point to play on a high pop server? Yes, absolutely. Because it's not a global... It's far from a global auction house. For starters, it's only regional, not global. Secondly, it's only commodity items. It's not things like armor. It's not weapons. It's not pets. It's not mounts. It's only commodities. So it's yeah, still very, very good reasons to play on a high pop server, because that's where you are still going to get the most sales. We're going to need rousing frosts as well. Okay, so we need some of the essences. Did you sell the essences? Who's selling the essences nowadays? Why have they made these funny prices? See, they've also put things like vibrant shards and stuff on the trainers. Almost as if they, you know, they're kind of ready for enchanting, but just haven't turned it on. Get a stack of all of these. So that's the basic ones. Let's now grab a stack of the bigger ones. The awakened stuff. Awakened air. Awakened earth. Okay. Is it only mats that are on the auction house? That doesn't make any sense. You missed some words from that sentence. There was a little book that alchemists had a while back on one of these vendors to reset the daily cooldown on the discovery thing. That might make it more difficult to test this at this point. Annoyingly so. Should have got my alchemy video done out the way a long time ago. Oh, maybe it's on this fella. No, he just sells the actual crafted potions itself. Alright. Right. Let's level this up a bit. We are 5 potions, 20 herbs. I think they've rebalanced. I cannot confirm nor deny, but I think they've adjusted some of these values. I don't remember them using 20, or maybe they did. Would you then continue with those, or would you go with those? You'd go with these, because it's practically the same. Is only materials that are on the new merged region-wide auction house. What things are classed as commodities and what things are not. Commodities, well, the way that most people are describing it is that anything that stacks. Anything to where you are forced to buy the cheapest one first is what's considered a commodity item. So that encapsulates potions, flasks, gems, enchants, I want to say missives, probably glyphs, all materials, things that you know you don't pick a single listing. So a commodity item is just a stackable thing that you will probably frequently buy and buy in large quantities. Because there's two totally separate interfaces on the auction house. There's the commodity interface, where you have all of the prices on the right-hand side and the quantities available. And then you have the non-commodity interface, which is where you can actually go through and select the different items. So if you're buying a piece of gear, if you're buying a weapon or a piece of armor, then that's not a commodity, because you can choose an exact listing and you can choose to buy that exact listing. Omnius Draconis. So very quickly we learn our basic vial and potion experimentation. We learned the ability to make the reagent nice and quickly as well. Our mana potions are still orange. We can actually do the whole reclaim concoction shenanigans, which we would need to do to get the dragon's alchemical solution. So you probably make a bunch of basic things, then you break down those basic things. Still sounds familiar. Writhe fire oil. When crafting, you are 9% more likely to improve at your profession. What in the world does that mean? A finishing reagent. You are 9% more likely to improve at your profession. The recipe difficulty is increased by 18. It's not yet implemented, so it doesn't work. But is that going to become... That's interesting. That could mean that you would want to throw those on. If you're trying to level up and you're trying to level... For example, when things go orange and when things go green, if you have the option to use a Writhe fire oil when crafting, giving yourself an increased chance of getting that skill point. That doesn't sound all that beneficial at the beginning, and it probably isn't. But when you hit like 50 points and you are fighting for skill points, literally, like however you can possibly get them, giving yourself 9% more chance to gain a skill point. But it's then harder to craft. If you're not... Because the recipe difficulty going up, you might not care about. If... it's not going to make any difference to the quality of the craft. You don't care if the difficulty goes up by a touch, because you can. It's not like it stops you from making it. That could be quite cool. That could be quite cool. Obviously, it's considered a finishing reagent though, so you're not going to be able to use it on every craft. But once you get to like 50 points, it's pretty much only gear that you craft that can give you skill points anyway. So in most cases, I'd imagine you would be able to use one of those. Let's see if that actually makes it into the live game. That could be quite a meta for gaining skill points faster for crafters that, you know, really care and are trying to min-max. Right, let's unlock the specs. I'm intrigued to see if the spec trees have changed. Boom, spec trees. And it's at 25 we finished learning stuff from the trainer. Okay. Trainer stuff is done. See you later. We're on our own from here. Let's give ourselves 1,000 spec points. Where are the spec points nowadays? They're this little icon here. They've really shrunken these down, even though these are going to be, even though these feel like they're going to be massive. They're going to be literally what every crafter's chasing. They've chosen to make the little icon really small. $650. I like to give myself 1,000 points just because it then means it's a nice round number to work with so that we can quickly calculate just how many points we've spent in the trees. Right, there we go. 1,000 skill points. Let's take a look, see if any of this has changed. These trees look slightly different. Or it may just be... I like what they've done here. I like the graphical change. Obviously, it was very placeholder before, but this is quite elegant. So we're going to go Potion Mastery, Vial Mastery, or just straight up Alchemical Theory. What's quite interesting is that with some of the professions where there was... I need to write this down in my notes. For some of the professions where there were 4 spec trees, for the professions with 4 spec trees, you got one for free. You don't seem to get one for free this time. With only 3 specs, no free one, like professions with 4 specs. So same thing is going to apply again by the looks of things. It's gonna pretty much end up being... It's pretty much going to end up being that you'll be able to get the first 2 very quickly, but then you'll have to wait until you're max level to get the last one. So does Alchemical Theory do enough to sell itself to be one that you'll pick up straight away? Improve at crafting alchemical products, gaining +1 skill for recipes per point in the spec. Gaining inspiration when you do more stuff. Inspiration, sub-spec. Resourcefulness, sub-spec. Crafting speed, yet to be implemented. Learn a sub-spec. Inspiration, learn a sub-spec. Resourcefulness, learn a sub-spec. And then alchemical crafting is 15% faster. So this is, whilst this does offer perks, it's bland. It's not very sparsy. Nothing fantastic happens here. The question is do any of these then start to be interesting? Transmutation. Master the process of transmutation, gaining 1% resourcefulness for these crafts per point in the spec. Is there some kind of skill tree for professions on Wowhead or somewhere else so people who have no alpha access can have a look? Wowhead might have some stuff. Not entirely sure. I've not looked, if I'm honest. I know Wowhead has been pumping out articles about the alpha, so you can probably find some info there. Resourcefulness when doing transmutes, more resourcefulness. Learn how to transmute the awakened order into its entropic elements. I wonder how beneficial that's going to be. So that's boring. Resourcefulness does nothing more than just save you material cost. which sure is a thing, but it's you know, at the beginning you're more looking to improve the quality of the things that you can craft, lesser than this is more of an long-term optimization. Chemical synthesis. Improve at specialty recipes such as those for alchemical reagents in incenses, gaining +1 skill per point in this tree. Multicraft plus skill when making reagents. Inspiration, multicraft. Learn how to craft brewed salt, a finishing reagent that improves inspiration and at some point will also add crafting speed. Learn to use special finishing reagents that improve crafting quality on alchemical reagents in incense recipes. Yeah. 50% extra via multicraft. Okay, this doesn't sell itself very well either. So far, at least, it looks like you're going to spec into potions and this doesn't seem too useful right now. Decayology. Delve further into the mysteries of rousing and awakened decay, gaining +1 skill point for crafts that use decay per point in this spec. You can now discover recipes which use decay as a reagent from the potion and the vial experimentations. So these, rousing decay and awaken decay. You have to somehow learn to be able to use these, alright, sure. The Alethian beta's catching on. Now only doing it at 22 gold. Just as I sorted out macros to refresh, buy and confirm. Yeah, they'll catch on. If you spend too much time trying to scam the scammer, that's what will happen. This is how Blizzard feels trying to chase bots all the time. Bit of resourcefulness. Damage taken from the side effect of drinking toxic potions and vials is reduced by 25%. This is something that I think could be quite interesting. If you are an alchemist and you end up making a lot of potions for yourself, some of them are like Kiss Curse potions. Some of them will do something beneficial, but also do something negative. And so you're going to be able to spec into reducing the negative side of these potions. So you would arguably hope that they are a step above in terms of strength regular potions, but there's that caveat, right? You know, there's that catch to them. And hopefully the more you spec into it, you can reduce, kind of like engineering has, for example, with their bombs and stuff, that they can, you know, sometimes malfunction. It's quite cool. Learn how to transmute awakening decay into an assortment of rousing elements. Sure. Pretty sure that's in there since every Mythic Plus player raider goes Herb Alchemist. Now there's things further pointing to what you're supposed to take for that content. Well, engineering is like #1 priority for many Mythic Plus groups. Because, you know, because the utility that engineers has. Yeah, engineer alchemy could be could be the play. Damage taken from the side effects of drinking toxic potion and vials is reduced by 25%. So yeah, you seem to be able to spec into using these Kiss Curse potions more effectively. That's going to be very if you need it, you need it. If you don't, you really don't. We're getting we're not dropping frames again, but we're getting encoder overloads again. This only happens to me on the alpha. No, instant replay is off. Not sure why that keeps happening. Resourcefulness routines. Use reagents more economically, gaining resourcefulness per point. Resourcefulness, once again, is just a... It's a nice to have, but it won't be essential to begin with. Although the way that alchemy tends to play out, alchemy tends to play out that, you know, he who buys his materials cheapest wins. So maybe actually stacking resourcefulness might not be the worst idea. And this entire one is just all about inspiration. Okay, so this is your real generic tree. Generic tree to which is going to be... very generic. So you'll probably take this one. You'll probably want to spec into potions or vials. And then take the alchemical theory one to just, you know, keep your crafting costs down. There'll be jumper cables for everybody to use now. That's true. That's true. There will be generic jumper cables. Right, potions then. Improve at crafting potions, stones, non-combat potions last longer. Inspiration, sub-spec. Reclaiming potions grants additional alchemical solution. Not yet implemented. Learn how to use the catalyst finishing reagents with recipes for potions and the Alacritus alchemical stone. Okay, that's very generic. Potion mastery. Then you're going to spec into frost potions or air potions. Consuming a Dragon Isles potion will heal a portion of your health over time. By default. Consuming a Dragon Isles potion will grant a brief burst of movement speed. Interesting. I do really hope that they do more of this. The initial, you know, the what I like to call the flavor of the professions. When you unlock a node, the node should come with some, you know, direct gameplay element to it. This is a good example. You know, when you use a potion, whatever that potion does, the potion will continue to do. But it will also give you just a small boost of speed or give you a small hot. You know, that's kind of what I think a talent point should be. And then as you spend more points in that talent node, then it can do, you know, the fluffy stuff, like giving you resourcefulness or inspiration and whatever. But there should kind of almost be some emphasis on just unlocking the nodes, right? You may not necessarily want to fill the node full of skill points, but you should probably want to unlock them. Because unlocking them in the first place should give you, you know, the big boost. This is where I feel that it's they've kind of missed the mark with that a little bit so far with the professions. You've kind of wanted to very quickly find a path that you want to go, and then you want to fill that path with as many points as possible. Whereas I would probably prefer it if there was more emphasis on just you wanting to like unlock as many nodes as possible. Unlocking the node should give you the big boost, the big power boost. Because there are, for example, you can't unlock this until you've spent 10 points in here. So you're going to passively, you know, fill these up anyway. But there should be, I think, a little bit more emphasis on you actually wanting to unlock stuff. Like just unlocking the node in itself here should be, you know, a worthwhile thing for you to strive to do. Like here, for example, when you just unlock it, earned when potion lore is +5 skill when making potions. It's like, it's meh. It's no different to any of these, realistically. There should be, they should be top loaded in terms of they should give you something good when you first unlock it. And then it should be mostly meh throughout. But then if you fill it, then, because they seem to have got this theory right, when you've filled a node completely, like this one has 25 ranks. When you've got this node at 25 out of 25, then you get a big bonus again. I think you should get a big bonus to begin with to incentivize people to actually unlock all of the nodes. Then you should probably get like a big bonus if you do fill it. I think that would be a sensible direction to go. Potion experimentation. Gain a better understanding of your reagents to improve the likelihood your experiments to yield satisfying results. Okay, that's just a research thing for potions. Batch production. Master the art of producing potions. Crafting speed. Learn the Cauldron of power. Multi-craft. Multi-craft gains up to an extra 50% extra. Anybody else a little bit scared that November 28 might be real and they still haven't really shown us all that much? I don't think we've really seen any endgame yet. This was the first week where we've had like some access to level 70 characters. The problem being though is that the pre-built level 70 characters felt empty. And the reason they feel empty is because it kind of requires you to... I'm going to assume that you're aware of the renown system that's going to be in place instead of regular reputations. Your 4 or 5 main factions, I can't remember how many there are going to have their own renown trees. So there's going to be multiple renown trees to be, you know, chasing. The zone features, each zone has its own like mini game, like little feature to it with its own faction. Unfortunately, those need to be unlocked with renown. This is why I went on a bit of a tangent and a bit of a rant yesterday. That even core gameplay features are being locked behind a renown tree, or a rep grind as most people would know it. Meaning that the pre-built level 70 characters that they give us on the alpha kind of feel really empty. The only thing that there's really available for you to do is to go and do some world quests before, you know, what they also really should do on the alpha, this will probably become a beta thing, is give you a renown button. Instead of you actually having to grind out the renown, you just have a button so you can level up and you can see what unlocks and then see how the end game develops. Personally, I'm not a fan of that system. I don't really like the fact that they're going to be locking away end game gameplay features behind rep grinds. It's bad enough having, you know, pets and mounts and consumables being locked behind rep grinds. I understand that they're optional things, but people didn't want power. People didn't want player power locked behind rep grinds. And Blizzard were like, okay, fine, we won't lock player power behind rep grinds. But instead, they've just switched directions. There's still rep grinds, yet instead, they're just going to lock core gameplay features behind rep grinds instead. Which to me feels just as bad, right? It feels just as bad. Why do I have to, you know, I've bought the game, I've paid for the monthly subscription, yet I have to do 500 world quests before I, you know, actually have access to most of the features of the game. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. They could soften the blow by making the early levels of the renown tree much, much faster to obtain. It's ultimately time gating. It's time gating on practically everything, though. That's the problem. I'm of the opinion that they went way too far with the time gating in patch, what are we now, 9.2? Zereth Mortis was overly time gated. Every single feature in Zereth Mortis had a time gate system on it in some way, shape or form. And I think they went too far in 9.2. The problem is it looks to not be reining back in 10.0. It looks like they're doubling down. And literally everything is going to be locked behind some sort of grind. Which I can't say at this point I'm best impressed with, but... I remember some of the comparisons for this yesterday. Mine would be, it's like placing an order at KFC, driving up to the window, paying, and then being told you have to go and cook it yourself. Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah, that's not a bad analogy, to be honest. There shouldn't be time gating. It's a paid for twice PC MMORPG, not a mobile game. Yeah, I think we're probably on the same page with that then. I'm not a fan of it. You know, if I have to buy the game and I have to pay a subscription on a monthly basis to play the game, I want to be able to play the game. I then don't want to have to grind my way through to unlock core gameplay features, right? I'm not a big fan of that. Unless there are some ways that can be done, right? Let's go all the way back. Let's look at the Burning Crusade, for example. Now, this is a bit of a hot take, but the system that they used in the Burning Crusade, for you had to, well, Jesus, I can't remember the name. In the Burning Crusade, you had to do a multitude of different things. There's a word that has escaped my brain. But you had to do a multitude of different things to unlock different things and get into access to the raid and whatever. But they did it through quest lines, and right now you need to go and do this dungeon and kill this boss in this dungeon to loot this item off that boss. The Attunement System, yeah, there we go. Thank you, boys and girls. The Attunement System was overly complicated back in Burning Crusade, but that was the gameplay. That was the end game content, right? It was quest-based. It was gameplay-orientated. The unlocking of things was part of the gameplay. The difference between the Burning Crusade Attunement and what they look to be doing in Dragonflight is that there's no creativity. The Attunement System was very creative. I mean, there are still diagrams to this day of huge, like, spider diagrams of, like, you can go do this and you need to do X, Y, and Z. You can complete this quest chain. Then you want to do these dungeons to get these items. And there was loads of things that you needed to do that, you slowly but surely made your way through the game until you got to the point where, boom, now you're closer to the finale. Boom, here's the big raid. Everybody now zooms into the raid, and, that became the... There was a good storyline. The whole thing was a good storyline. You just let people level to 70 and then go, right, here you go. Here's 4 factions and here's a rep grind to do. Go get the features you want. It's not creative. It's not, they were more creative 15 years ago with it. So this is the thing, right? I'm not totally against gating of content. But I would like it to always be something that people can always work on. They can always be progressing without it being, time gated, play gated. Because let's not mess about here. The renown system and the rep grind, in most cases, I can imagine, will be heavily linked to a limited amount of activities that you can do. For example, world quests. World quests, there's only going to be so many world quests. The way that it looks in Dragonflight is that there might only... The reset timer on the world quests appears to be potentially changing. They're going to give you a lot of world quests to go out and potentially do with the weekly reset, but the world quests may not necessarily be resetting quite as quickly as they have done previously. Meaning that you can kind of work at them at your own pace throughout the week. Which is better, but it's still world quests. We've had world quests now since, when were they first implemented? World quests have been in the game for a long time. I mean, before they were called world quests, it was just daily quests, right? And you had daily quests in a hub. They fluffed it up a little bit. They called them world quests. They're fundamentally the same thing, though. They just have, instead of it being on a 24-hour rotation, they were like a 2-day timer or something. Most of the TBC attunements began with a rep grind to access the heroic dungeons. Onyxia is probably a better example. Well, yeah, there was a bit of rep grind, but it was also usually something that you could just smash your face against the keyboard and do. You could go and grind mobs in a zone or something, or you could make sure that you've completed all of the quests in a zone, and I mean, let's not also forget, I'm not saying that the Burning Crusade attunement process is the gold standard. But my point of this is that 15 years ago, when they first made the Burning Crusade, they were being more creative with it than they are today. Surely after 15 years of experience, development, you know, they should be better at it now than they were 15 years ago. I want to see quest chains. I want to see, you know, proper stories being told. I want to see cutscenes, mini scenarios. You know, there's lots of things they could be doing. Dinging level 70 and then, you know, just having to grind renown by doing some daily quests is hella boring. And I will fight against that tooth and nail because it's just dull. It's super not creative. I hope that there's a lot more that we haven't seen. I really do hope there's a lot more. But anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent for sure. That was a bit of a tangent that I didn't expect to go down. But, yeah, should we get back to professions? Should we get back to the professions? Potions or vials? I think you're probably going to go potions, to be honest. Alchemy also appears as if it could be a candidate to double it up. As long as grinding out knowledge is not too gross. For the purpose of this, I will probably go...
Hello there.
Potions. That little animation was quite nice. I like that. Do you think that this could end up being a lose-lose scenario due to how gaming is these days? If you can hit max level and farm everything infinitely, people will complain that you have to no-life it to stay relevant. You go the other way, and the more hardcore players complain that it's boring and there's nothing to do. They've had so much practice with this over the years, though. It's not really a lose-lose scenario. It is understandable that there are going to be some things in the game that you have to dedicate more time to than others. You may have to grind some things. And you can do things in a gross way, and you can do things in a good way. For example, you could very easily have it so that you can, you know, there's certain mobs in a zone that you can grind, and grinding those mobs gives you a very, very small amount of renown or reputation, let's just say. You know, you kill a mob and it literally gives you one. It literally gives you one reputation. Or the world quest in the same zone that is only available like once a day or so will give you 100 rep. So then you have a choice, right? You can either, if you don't have much playtime, you can do the world quest, get your 100 rep, takes you 10-15 minutes, and then you dip, you're done. Or you could, if you really detest world quests, you don't necessarily have to do that world quest. You can grind mobs if that's more your jam. You can grind mobs, you can get some gear, you can do some gathering at the same time. You can then both achieve a similar thing. Now, obviously, if you are going to dedicate more time to doing something, I would usually say that people who spend more time doing something should have an advantage. I'm kind of, I'm not so much in agreement with the people that complain that, oh, if you know life, oh, well, you know, those people who know life the game, they've got such an advantage over others. In my opinion, quite rightly, if you dedicate 18 hours a day to playing a video game, I'd be pissed if, you know, if I was to do that, I'd be pissed if I didn't have an advantage. Now, there's a difference, obviously, right? That, you know, if it becomes a scenario where you physically can't go raiding, you can't unlock the raid until you've done 20 hours of mob grinding, then yes, I would agree, that's gross. But it doesn't have to be quite so black or white. This is the thing. It is an MMO. I understand that grinds have to exist, but as long as they exist for a reason and are not just arbitrary reasons to just slow you down, then I'm fine with them. I'm quite fussy with these sorts of things. But I will always argue that it never has to be quite so black and white. Plus, I also know you can never please everybody, so. This is also why catch-up systems can be a thing, right? You know, if you zerg forward, if you spend 18 hours a day grinding mobs to unlock the reputations at their highest level possible within the first week, then congratulations to you. You've put in a lot of time and effort. You're going to have that advantage for a while. But then, you know, if somebody will catch up to you eventually and gain the same advantage, but, you know, later. When it becomes mandatory to invest so much time, public opinion is always influenced by the top 0% of people. So groups and guilds will implement these standards. Yeah. But if you end up being in a guild that the rest of the this is a harsh reality of that if you don't have that much time to dedicate to the game, you can't also expect to be in as competitive an environment as other people that have more time to play the game. You know, people don't jump and complain that why is that footballer getting paid millions of dollars? Well, that footballer's, and why does that footballer get to play for Liverpool? Well, that footballer has dedicated the best part of their entire life to doing just that. They have put exponentially more time investment into doing something to get better at it, to get better rewards out of it. I'm not, like I said, I really dislike this opinion of that you should be able to play a game an hour a day or 10 hours a day and everybody should be at the same point. No, the people that play 10 hours a day should be at least 3 or 4 times further along than somebody that plays only an hour a day. You should have, like, there's like a bell curve graph, I guess. You should be able to achieve a lot very quickly in a short period of time. Then it should plateau off, and it should plateau to the point where, you know, there's diminishing returns on your advantage depending on how much you play. If you play an hour a day, you should be able to, you know, if there's 100 things that you need to do in that first hour of the day, you should probably be able to do 30 of them. If you spend it should probably take you the next couple of hours, 2-3 hours, to get up to like 50 or 75% efficient. If you want to be 100% efficient and be first at everything, you probably are going to have to spend 18 hours a day playing the game. If you want to compete. If you can't compete, you're going to, like, I don't know, there just has to be some acceptance of that, I generally feel. I can only play 1 hour a day. My gear's shit. It's not fair. I should be getting invites to plus 25 keys. Yeah, I mean, that obviously that's like thrown out there as an extreme example. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this whole. I tend to feel that if you put more time and more effort into something, you should get better results out of it. Yeah, I think that's just, for me at least, it feels common sense, but we do live in a world of unnecessary levels of fairness nowadays, where effort and in time investment and even financial investment in many cases is not rewarded like I feel it should be in many cases. Can't cope with the high-end content, but I do enjoy the open world stuff. No life, I've already lived it. Well, there we go. There we go. It's a good way to look at it. I'm fine with infinite grinds, to be honest. I wouldn't be that bothered if Islands 2.0 came back. Okay. Some people will disagree with that one, for sure. For sure. This now looks much better. This looks neat and tidy. Little shake of the screen when you learn a thing. I like that. It looks much better. Now we can learn a subspec. Now we can go either frost potions or air potions. What are we likely to get our hands on? Well, until we do some research, we can't actually unlock much of anything. So we'd probably do a basic potion experiment. Oh, artisan's metal. We still don't have artisan's metal. Can we buy that from somewhere? Ah, that's the thing I was looking for. A liquid courage. Ah, good. It does exist. Instill you with the courage to immediately continue experimenting with alchemical ingredients. Good. That's the one I wanted. That's exactly what I was looking for. So we'd probably do our potion experiment. What are we missing? Alchemical solution. So we'd need to reclaim some in. We would reclaim probably some basic bitch healing potions because they're going to be super cheap. Islands 2.0 and Attunement, so it's not hyper-focused on one thing for 18 hours a day. Maybe. Maybe that would also work. Right, so we do a basic experimentation. Does this have any new fancy graphic to it now? No. We didn't trigger a cooldown on it, though. We gained a skill point, but we didn't... we gained a skill point and we gained a potion, but we didn't trigger a cooldown. Okay, we learn a Eye of the Storm potion, which gives us a guaranteed skill point potion. Let's do another one of these then. Aerated Vial of Deafness. Increase your deafness by 1,192. Not yet implemented. Let's keep on with our research. I really hope this research doesn't end up being too random. And by that I mean that I hope that there is some sort of... okay, let me rephrase this. The way it feels right now is that you can keep pressing the button until it fails. And when it fails, it triggers the cooldown on it. That means that, you know, it could be a one-day cooldown. You could get 3 or 4 crafts out of it before it hits a cooldown. Which is going to feel really gross. Like, you'll level up Alchemy for the first time on the first day. And if the first time you press the button, you get a cooldown reset on it that you then can't press the button again. They're like, that level of RNG I don't like. If it's going to be a cooldown based system, I would like a little bit of more predetermined quantity of them. Kind of worried that the UI doesn't have a disclaimer claiming that it's work in progress. It looks awfully bland. There has been quite a lot of feedback already of that this seems to have this window is just too big. People have complained that this is just too big, and but the thing is all of this dead space here right now, this dead space does get used on some things occasionally, but only occasionally. I think it's definitely better than what it was to begin with. Touchpad friendly. Oh god, is Dragonflight going mobile? Let's hope not. It could still do with some love. I'm not a big fan of how this is being laid out on the side, but it's better than it once was. It's awfully confusing the first time you use it too. It's hard to spot A, what your current skill level is, and B, which crafts give you a skill up. Yeah, well, they changed it from being, you know, green, orange, yellow, grey. They gave it these little icons, these little icons on the side here, which I'm also in agreement that these are not anywhere near as clear. But maybe that's just because my brain is conditioned to, if it's an orange text, then it's a guaranteed skill point. If it's yellow text, it's not guaranteed. The reason they changed it for reference was a color thing, right? If you have some sort of color blindness, it was more difficult to distinguish between the color shades, and so they thought that, well, adding an icon that's also of that same color is a catch-all thing. I'm more of the opinion that that should just be a toggle in the, you know, accessibility options, rather than, you know, it being the only thing. And now that there's filters for the unlearned, what I would rather have is the unlearned stuff be subcategorized. I don't want all of the unlearned things in the same groups as stuff that I've learned, because now it looks like, oh, I can make this. Well, actually, no, I can't, because it's grey. I don't have that recipe. So weirdly, I know this might just be the fact that we as human beings tend not to particularly like change, but I do kind of half feel that this wasn't broken, so don't fix it, sort of thing, you know. This bit I can live with. This bit is alright. I can get on board with this side of things, but this thing I don't particularly like. The fact that you now have to sort of select each individual expansion off a list, rather than like, and you can't then you're right, you can't easily see what your progress is. Like Outland, you know, I haven't even learnt it, but it doesn't, you know, it's just not as intuitive as it already was. Don't mind the color change, but the text should also be the same color. Well, that's true. Yeah. There's no real reason why you couldn't still have orange text and the icon. After playing Shadowlands and dealing with Renown on alts, I absolutely love the change now. Please change it. Shame we get Renown again. The thing that most people dislike. Yeah, they've doubled down on Renown. This is the problem. Nobody was jumping up and down going, yay, Renown. Most people looked at the Renown in Shadowlands and were like, oh, it's a battle pass. And it practically ended up being that, in terms of that, oh, well, you started with a 40 Renown path. Then it went up to 60, then it went up to 80. It's practically a battle pass without a separate charge to it. People are not stupid. People were blatantly aware of what it is. Nobody was overly excited about there being it in the first place. And yet they now seem to feel that everybody loved it so much that they've added it multiple times. And it probably screams a false engagement thing, right? You know, they probably looked at the data at Blizzard's end. They've probably looked at the data and said, oh, well, look, everybody is doing everything that they possibly can to gather these renowns. There are people out there with alts that have got high renown. Well, that must mean that they liked it. Well, no, we were, in many cases, like Kahani's just said, we were somewhat forced to do it because you unlocked gameplay features behind it. So, yeah. Not against the route. What I didn't like was locking you from 75% of the story unless you did it on alts. Oh, yeah, the fact that you practically had to do it 4 times in Shadowlands anyway. Yeah. I really like the new crafting UI so far. It gives a better overview, especially given the increasing number of recipes we'll get. Yeah. It's kind of... There are some things about it I do like, but the unlearned stuff, I would much prefer the unlearned stuff to be at the bottom. If you toggle the unlearned stuff, like I said, one thing I don't like is the fact that they put all of the unlearned stuff in the categories with what you've already learned. It's going to make it very difficult to differentiate between what you have and haven't learned. And if I select something that I haven't learned, where's all of the details of, like, well, where do I go and learn this from, you know? If I haven't learned the ability to make a reactive file embellishment thing, then, like, this interface doesn't make any sense now. Because I can't make this. This just looks confusing. For anybody coming from Shadowlands, they're going to look at... They would look at this and be like, well, why can't I craft this? Where's the craft button? Because it's not now... It's not... it's not obvious in any way, shape, or form that you don't know this recipe. Like, you'd just be like, somebody's stolen my... especially considering you can even click buttons like this. What does it... Why do you need all of this information if you don't have the pattern in the first place? I do genuinely think it's a step backwards to what we already have. Put unlearn either in a separate window, like it is currently. So then you can see, right, what don't I have? I can scroll through what I don't have on a character. Oh, if I don't have this, how do I get this? Oh, I get this by doing X, Y, and Z. None of that information is relayed here. And then, you know, having to filter through each of the different expansions. The tooltip for the unlearned recipes should change to how it is you get it. Yeah, there's definitely still improvements to be made, that's for sure. Right, I need some more... What do I need? I need some more reclaimed stuff. I wonder how long it will be before there's a redesign add-on for the crafting UI. Well, there's already plenty of add-ons out there that, you know, completely redesign it. So, I mean, obviously, Trade School Master being the big one. They can all put their own skin on it. And another thing I'm not a fan of, actually, is that the reagent quantity, you see it's showing 1 out of 1 here, 1 out of 1, 1 out of 1. I have significantly more of these materials. This is actually super confusing, because Artisan's Metal, for starters, where is it in my bag? Where's it even gone in my bag? Artisan's Metal. I've got 93 of them. I've got 93. This doesn't indicate how many I have in any way, shape, or form. Like Hockenbloom. I have 20 out. I have 20 of 20. I have enough to make this. But why doesn't it tell me, well, actually, Hockenbloom, I have a total of 2,810. It would be, you know, then I could look at this and quickly work out, well, how many can I craft? I mean, it says here I could, in theory, craft 95 if I press the button, but it'd be more, you know, if that number was 1, what item would I need to craft more of them? I can't easily tell that at all either. Sounds like a visual bug. Maybe, I don't know. Design team could do with a good business analyst experienced in use case analysis with a bunch of users. Like I said, ultimately, even if Blizzard don't do a great job, there'll be add-ons out there that will redesign it all anyway, so it's fine. Have they said how big the new reagent bag will be? Yeah, not much bigger than regular bags, like 36 slots. It's basically like we're just getting one extra bag slot. Which I'm still of the opinion that that just doesn't cut the mustard, because with the amount of reagents we're going to be running around with, one extra bag is definitely better than no extra bags. But materials wise, you're potentially going to be carrying around triple the amount of materials, triple the amount of crafted items, because all of this quality stuff as well. Isn't that the same size as the current hydral bag for herbs, etc.? Yep. Yep. Yeah, you know those bags that we've had in the game for like a million years anyway. Oh, there we go. It went boom. It went boom, but the crafting UI window is so big. So big. Your recent experimentation resulted in a hazardous outcome. For your own safety and the safety of others, perhaps you should try again in a few hours. 2 minutes remaining. Yeah, see, this is going to be the thing, right? This is the way that they're going to be doing this research thing. You're going to have this debuff placed on you when it fails, which seems to be random. Now, if you get that debuff slapped on you after pressing the button once on the first day of the expansion, you're going to be pissed. Cooldown remaining 3 hours 59 minutes now. They seem to have tamed the this doesn't seem to make. They seem to have toned these down a little bit, but I can see that frustrating people. Luckily, it's the alpha, so I can cheat the system, but I think feedback on that is that it's just either it needs to be a predetermined quantity and then you hit a cooldown. You know, like you can hit the button once a day, but it stacks up to 7, so that you in theory only need to log on once a week if you really want to. Looks like it's not days anymore. Last time I went boom, I had 3 days, 23-hour cooldown. Yeah. Yeah, they've toned it back, but it's still... It's just an annoyance. It's a mobile game feature. Sounds like I'm going to need blood pressure medication when learning all the professions. That'd make the top of my head explode. Yeah, I can safely say this isn't really a feature that I'm too fond of. If you're going to have a discovery system, you know, you don't want RNG stacked on top of RNG. It's random whether you even learn a thing in the first place. What you don't want it to also be is random how many times you can press the button. Oh, I've been doing file experimentations. I was meant to be doing potion ones, but whatever. So I assume it's 50 we get the next one. Yeah, let's do what we can to get to 50 then. So at 50, if I remember rightly, skill 50 is about the point to where your skill points start to be few and far between. We can see here that I think have been quite lucky that we've learned a couple of good files. Actually, this might go as far as to say that you are better off speccing into files first, simply because they are more likely to give you skill points for longer. You might, if you take potions and only do your potion research, you might get into a sticky situation where you don't learn a potion that is easily going to give you skill points. What would you say is the percentage of the big profession gear items requiring bind-on pickup materials? Big profession gear item. You mean like these things? The profession accessories and tools. These are the crafts of these themselves are bind-on pickup. So you're only the top tier ones of these. Oh, armor. They all use bind-on pickup materials. There's way too much bind-on pickup stuff in it. For my take, way too much bind-on pickup stuff. Everything's got both bind-on pickup materials and then ends up being bind-on pickup when you craft it. Meaning the only trading of it between players is going to be via the work order system. Yeah, practically work orders. That's it. Not so much for alchemy, obviously, at this point, because we haven't actually unlocked anything else. But if we unlock files as well, let's throw some more points in potions. When you achieve a major breakthrough, gain +10 inspiration for 4 hours for all alchemy crafts. So if your cooldown research is a major breakthrough, then you gain a buff, presumably this one, alchemically inspired. These have not yet been implemented though. And you have to go all the way to here to learn the advanced potion experimentation, which yields potions of a higher quality and increases your chance at discovering new recipes. Now we have this. Uses the same materials, but is likely to give you something better. And is the same difficulty. Love the new profession system. Looks like fun. Yeah, I agree. I genuinely am greatly looking forward to playing through this. Like the actual... The recipes and the leveling of it feels very much same old, same old. What I do really like is the addition of these spec trees. The spec trees is going to give... It's hard to simulate because on the alpha we get all the cheat codes so that we get like unlimited knowledge and stuff. But when the game goes live, this is going to be a real thinking man's game, right? The spec trees, you're really going to put a lot of your time and effort into working out right. I've only got a very limited amount of this knowledge to spend. Where is the best use of my, you know, points? Where can I put these points in so that they give me the maximum effectiveness? And there's going to be lots of, you know, choices. Do you go the efficiency route? Do you go the mass crafting route? Do you go the unlock as many recipes as possible route? Do you go the craft things at the highest quality route? There's going to be lots of different ways that, like, there's almost an unlimited different ways that you can progress. Eventually, everybody will end up at the same point, but your personal path will be different to every other alchemist and every other herbalist. And, you know, these spectres I do really like. I hope that they can add some interesting stuff on them. There's a little bit, you know, already, or at least they have the plan to put good stuff in. There's a lot of stuff though that's not yet implemented. That they, you know, this is something that they plan to do, but they haven't done it yet, which is always risky business in the alpha. We see a lot of stuff. When you play the alphas, when you play the betas, you end up seeing a lot of stuff that never actually makes it to the live version of the game. For many reasons, probably, but... So potion experimentation is maxed out now, giving us, in theory at least, better opportunity. We can now do the advanced one. Better chance to get cool stuff to craft. Elemental potion of power. We gained 2 of them. We didn't learn how to make it though. These elemental potions of power are monstrous. Have you seen what these things do? Drink to increase your primary stat by 3,153 for 30 seconds. These things are outrageous. And then there's Elemental Potion of Ultimate Power, which increases your primary stat by... Well, these are tier 2 quality ones. Yeah. Tier what? Yeah. Elemental Potion of Ultimate Power is going to increase it to 45 seconds. That's not going to make it to live. These are ridiculous. The thing is, though, 20 of these potions, they're bind on pickup potions, so these may be restricted to only alchemists, or you'll have to put work orders in for these potions. These also use Primal Chaos. These are a bind on pickup item that is also heavily used in crafting of endgame gear. These are not going to be cheap in any way, shape or form. All my 6 cooldowns lined up nicely. Boom, drop one of those, yeah. Depends on how many stats you have. Well, if you look at it in comparison to what others give you, you know, this one, each boon increases your secondary stat by 520. Secondary stat. You know, is there any that give, you know, flat stats? Increases your crafting speed by nearly 1,000. Lasts up for 30 minutes and lasts through death. Potions go burr. Aerated vial of the quick hands. Not yet implemented though. No way, it'll only be for alchemy work orders for sure. Yeah. Back to classic mode where each raider has to spend 80% of their time farming mats to raid and then only 20% of the time to be able to raid. Well, there'll be two options, right? If you want to be self-sufficient, yeah. Otherwise, work orders. Put in some work orders so that by the time you go to raid, you've got your fancy potions and your fancy flasks and all that sort of stuff. Yes, it has just gone 1 PM for me. Well spotted. Good afternoon to you. No, show learnt and not unlearnt. How far can we go with these while still giving us skill points? 52, 53, 54. They go yellow, sorry, at 55. They'll probably go green at 60 then, I'd guess. Yeah, green at 60. Green at 60. By the time you hit 60 skill points, the only thing that's guaranteed to give you a skill point is your advanced potion experimentation. Which is an unlock in and of itself. That is unlocked by putting 20, 30, 40 points into potion mastery. I would guess that there's the same one here. Vial experimentation. Are these trees practically the same? They are practically the same. Just one is for potions, one is for vials. And vial experimentation. This one should give us the advanced one, yeah. So 20 points in this. How often do you get a point to put in the tree? Well, these knowledge points are going to be drip fed to you. We don't really know is the answer. Is the TLDR. What we do know with these is that there's world drop items that you can acquire. You know, mob grinding, completing quests, whatever. There are world drop items that are going to give you knowledge. There's also a daily quest that is in Valdrakken, the main capital city. There's daily quest, a daily quest that gives you a token that will teach you some of these. There's also an item that scribes make that is a 1 week cooldown on use item that teaches you some knowledge. But yeah, the TLDR is we don't really know. We don't really know, and it's probably something we won't really know until we go to live. To be honest, I'm so glad you don't say inscriptionist. Yeah, it's because it's wrong. It's scribe. How many points do you need in total? I mean, to max the tree, it's going to be loads. Like, absolutely loads to max the tree out. Once I've sort of tested a little bit and unlocked a bunch of things, then we'll max out the tree just to work it out. I gave myself 1,000 points on the alpha to see how far we get, but not something you do in a week? No, definitely not. Definitely not. My guesstimation is it's probably the daily quest was giving you 3 knowledge, which simple maths there, 3 times 7 is 21. You are likely to not really have access to much more than 25, maybe 30 points in a week. Which is, you know, even getting to the point where we've unlocked, you know, a fancy thing. Let's just call it, you know, this is one path you might want to beeline towards to begin with. Even this is 40 points. This might take you 10 days of, you know, 10 days to fill out. This could be 10 days of progress right here. Alternatively, they could do quest lines, they could front load the knowledge points, they could make it so that you get like your first 100 knowledge points really quite quickly and easily, but then it's a drip feed from there on. There's many ways they can stagger it, but this is going to be how they control the speed in which players can level up their professions. And it's something that I'm not too concerned about if it's slow. In a weird way, the slower this is, the better it is for professions. If they make the acquisition of profession knowledge too fast, it will undermine all of the other systems that they're adding. This whole quality system will just go out the window, because when you gain too much knowledge in a profession, after a while, quality doesn't matter. You make everything at maximum quality, and you only need basic materials to make it. So they do kind of want to limit how much of this you get, and correct pacing of this is important, because it will weirdly, the slower you gain profession knowledge, the more value that will be added to this quality system, the more valuable it will be to pick and choose a direction in a smart way. More valuable will it be to be able to craft things at tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 in quality. And you will have to plan to be able to do that sort of thing. It'll be more fun and more engaging if they actually slow it down. If it's something that you can zerg too quickly, it just undermines the rest of the systems completely. So from 60 points onwards, if you want to research anything at any sort of speed, your basic recipes don't guarantee a skill point, but your advanced ones do. So there's the question to be asked of, do you really want to spend all your points going in this direction to max this out as quick as possible? Or are your points going to be more valuable somewhere else? Only time will tell. Do need to make a few more of these though. It's going to be expensive the first month or so with the recipe scarcity. The downside Alchemy is going to have though is, let's not forget that nearly everything that you're creating here is a commodity item, which means you're not just competing against other alchemists on your realm, you're competing against every alchemist in the region. So it's only going to take a few people to, go in the same direction for there to be, competition. This is why I tend to feel that professions like Alchemy are going to be much more challenging than, say, gear crafting professions. Because gear crafting professions, it's still going to matter what server you play on. But things like Alchemy, not so much. But yeah, if you want to be first, if you want to either be first or you want to be the best at creating something, if you want to make these vials and you want to make them at the highest quality, and you want to be the first person to do it, you're gonna have to laser focus your efforts to be able to achieve that. You're not going to, split your points up like this. You will put all of your points in one direction, and then you'll spend all of any spare points you have maximizing that career path. Being the jack of all trades is probably not going to be a sensible way to go. Because what's the phrase? Jack of all trades, master of none. Will kick in, right? You'll only have so much knowledge to spend that it will be better to be the master of one thing and then only competing with the other masters of that one thing. Whereas if you try and be a jack of all trades and you split your points up and you try and go in a bunch of different directions, then what will ultimately happen is that you won't be able to make the best of anything. and you'll probably quite quickly have a hard time selling anything, really. If you can, it's obviously going to be great if you can make tier 2 potions and tier 2 flasks, but that's only good if the market doesn't want tier 3 potions or tier 3 flasks. It's probably going to be better to go, you know, high quality in a small direction to begin with, in a narrow path. Which is good, right? Because it's meaning that the spec trees and having to specialize will work, but that only works if they, you know, if they manage this knowledge effectively. If they dish these out like candy, if you know, if profession knowledge, it just rains profession knowledge, or you can just grind it out, or you can, heaven forbid, buy them off a vendor, or just buy them off in some way, shape, or form, then the whole system will go to shit real quick. But I like it, and the slower it is, I think the more I will like it, because the more meaningful each decision will be. But I'm not trying to work out optimal paths or anything like that at this point. Doing that sort of stuff is futile, because by the time it goes live, it'll all be different anyway. So what I'm trying to like gauge and test more than anything else is just how does the leveling path feel. And at the moment, it feels very much like you hit like 50 or 60 points, and your ability to gain more points is like hamstrung completely. You're pretty restricted to just your experimentations to guarantee yourself skill points at this point, which is an odd choice. Multiple alts per profession will effectively give you that Master of All, although how much of a time investment will that take? It's likely to be high. And it also depends on what requirements there are on being able to do things like the daily quests. If there's a requirement for you to be level 70 before you can really start attacking this, you may have to make, you may have to consider the fact that you will just be a day or two behind people. You know, if you level your character to 70 on the first day, and you don't miss a day's worth of knowledge gain, there ain't nobody out there that's going to be leveling 3 or 4 or 5 or multiple alts in the first day. There's just not physically enough hours in the day. And in a way, at the beginning, even being 1 day behind, you could be 4 or 5 knowledge points behind. That could be the difference between you getting a recipe a day before somebody else gets a recipe. Because there's, in a lot of the spec trees, when you reach certain milestones, you unlock something. So, if you're on your main character, you level to 70, you have gained every single knowledge point that is possible to obtain. You know exactly, or you can probably calculate quite quickly, when you'll unlock a pattern. Now, on an alt, that you might have to level that alt up first, it may be significantly harder for you to stay at that same point as everybody else, which diminishes the value of doing it in the first place. Which, once again, I like. I don't like... What I don't like... 9.2, for example, was a good... Was it 9.2? Yeah, when we got Zereth Mortis, 9.2 was a good example of how I don't like it. 9.2, and the reason was because 9.2 was a Zerg fest to reach Honored. You had to absolutely Zerg to hit Honored, and people were trying to do it on as many characters, on as many different servers as possible. Why? Because Honored was where you got access to the Crafter's Mark, the new Crafter's Mark. The second you hit Honored, you could start crafting the new Crafter's Mark gear. A great example of this was Kachak, many of you will know of. He was the first person on Draenor EU to unlock the Crafter's Marks. And he had probably a 12-hour head start with jewel crafting than anybody else on one of the biggest servers in the whole EU. He was practically printing gold for that 12 hours. He was selling, what would it have been? The 262 or, yeah, 262 Crafter's Mark rings. He was selling them for 100k each. And he had about a 12-hour head start on everybody. Now, the only person that wins those races is the person that comes first. Coming second, it doesn't matter. Because when you come second, you're going to be second alongside 25 other people. The first person past the line is the only winner of that race. Now, if there are some simple things, like you have to level to 70 before you can start doing, like, learning extra knowledge, that's going to be practically impossible to do on more than one character. Because leveling from 60 to 70 is, even at world record speed leveler pace, is probably going to take you 8 to 12 hours, I would imagine. Because that's usually what it does. But we'll see. We'll see. That's like hyper levels of optimization that we don't have to worry about for a long time yet. What I do need to do, actually, is I need to go grab a drink. I'm going to take a break for 2 minutes, boys and girls. I'm going to go grab myself a drink, because I end up doing a lot of talking. Occupy yourselves for a couple of minutes, boys and girls. Consider hitting that follow button if you haven't already. If you can gain yourself some fancy emotes, and obviously no ads if you hit that sub button. You never know. I'll be back in 2. They should bring back the profession realm first with this system. That could be interesting. Bit of a race for crafters. Most crafters are not necessarily competing in the race to world first for, you know, killing the end boss. But, you know, bit of prestige about being the... If they're trying to add value to being a crafter. That could be quite cool. Got Realm First, 525 fishing. Oh my lord. I don't think I've ever had a Realm First for anything. I've always been way too lazy to go for those. Oh, I went boom. I went boom. How do I unboom? There's the unboom button. Oh, I went boom again. Unboom business is tricky business. Most went leveling, I went fishing. Gold maker at heart. Realm First fishing. Genius. I've gone boom again. You don't seem to be learning anything. You don't seem to be learning anything from these. There's still lots of stuff we need to learn. Like I said, it'd be nice to know. It'd be nice to know just how you learn these things. The whole unlearn tab was really quite handy to tell you where you learn something from. Now I can understand if they've not decided where they're gonna, you know, give things to you, but the stuff, if it's you know, if you can only learn it through discovery, it'd be nice to know that you only learn it through discovery. How do we learn transmute stuff? Oh. Oh. Master transmutation. How do we actually learn the transmutes? That's odd. It's one thing I've not thought about. Where the hell do the alchemy transmutes come from? They're likely to then end up being on our favourite renown system. Oh dear God. Is that boom sound audible to everybody? Could end up sounding like a war zone the first few weeks. I don't know. It's not very easy for me to test. Oh, we learned a potion of frozen focus. Now we're out of alchemical solution. Do some reclaiming. I do like this reclaiming thing. What it will ultimately end up being, though, we've talked about this a little bit before. This reclaiming, which you need to do to get your alchemical solution, I would like them to. I would like to see them use this alchemical solution to make more stuff. Actually, at the moment, I think this is only used. Yeah, it's only used in the experimentations. So the only reason you have to reclaim just trash is to hopefully put it into learning something new. But as we already know that this is going to be on, we're going to have this annoying cooldown on this. I would like the... It'd be kind of quite cool if this dragon's alchemical solution was more useful in other stuff. Make it like a proper material of its own. Meaning that there may become a bit of a trade, like a circle of trade for, you know, when people are leveling up and they're making like terrible potions that nobody wants. It maintains a market for the trash, right? Because people will still buy the trash to reclaim it to make the alchemical solution. It's like a good recycling system. Recycle all of the trash either you don't want or that you can buy cheap to get more of this stuff. Leaning into this a little bit more, I think, could be really fun for the profession. I wonder though, would that cause a problem with spiraling prices on... I mean, it probably wouldn't, but we already have problems with people baiting on materials, so... So there we go, that's quite interesting. At skill 65, we are... the only things we can gain skill points from at skill 65 is 2 trinkets, which we haven't learned how to make these. And we don't know where these come from. These might be rep grind in the first place. And even then, they're... Ooh, leveling this is going to be a tricky one, you know. Leveling alchemy is going to be a tricky business. Because only your trinkets and this super duper mega ultimate potion and then the cauldrons are practically the only thing that gives you a skill point. Apart from pressing your experimentation button. Which, as we know, has its limitations. Maybe this is their way around, because alchemy doesn't appear to be very heavy on work orders for leveling up. Most other professions rely quite aggressively on you fulfilling work orders to get your final skill points, or 50 plus. Maybe because alchemy doesn't have really much stuff that's work order bait. You're going to have your trinkets for sure. But even then, do these require alchemy? Unique equipped alchemist stone. They're okay, it doesn't look like you actually need to be an alchemist to wear one of these. Cooldown of your combat potions is decreased by 60 seconds. Potions of power now grant you 8 additional stat. Question is we don't know where we get these trinket recipes from. So we can't rely too heavily on that for skill points. I would assume, although it's not so clear if we can learn this through discovery or not. But if we only learn this recipe via discovery, that's a disgusting amount of RNG just to learn the recipe that you're not going to want to rely on. And then there's the cauldrons, which are the same thing. We practically now have very little way of actually crafting anything that gives us skill points. Do any of these teach us something new? Learn to use finishing reagents. Well, maybe let's just these teach us something. Oh, learn potion Cauldron of Power. So it's here we learn a Cauldron. Is that something that gives us... Okay, that's got at least half a chance of giving us skill points. There are some patterns at the Renown renders, Rep Gate. I've seen a couple of those. You may have to, you know, you might get to 50, you might get to 65, and then you might be chasing Renown and chasing Rep before you can really get any further. So we can learn the potion Cauldron of Power via the spec tree. Haha! Okay. This then uses elemental power potions to even make the damn thing. Which are expensive in and of themselves. Very expensive. Wow, you need 100 of these just to make one cauldron. Hot diggity. That's going to be a remarkably expensive way to level up as well, because of course you can't sell the cauldrons. I mean, it's all good if you're the guy in the guild that's responsible for making these. But outside of that, this is even then a remarkably expensive way of leveling up. I want to know where this elemental potion of ultimate power comes from, because this is likely to be your ticket to leveling this up to 100, along with, I presume, the trinkets. Let's do a little googly. Is the potion you get better than the one used in the recipe? It's a cauldron though, isn't it? So, create a cauldron, blah blah blah. Acquire fleeting elemental potions of power. Can you make that just by itself? Okay, you can't just make that potion. That potion appears to only come from the cauldron. Which, when consumed, gives 2,742 primary stats for 30 seconds. 2,700. It's basically the exact same as an elemental potion power. They've just given it a different name. Each cauldron has 100 uses, and each provides 5 potions. Oh, it takes 100 potions to make the thing, but will actually dish out 500 potions. Am I reading that right? Elemental potion of power takes 100 of them. Cauldron has 100 uses, and each provides 5 potions. That's 500 potions, right? The cauldron lasts 10 minutes. So that's that puts massive emphasis on raids or guilds, organized guilds, to bring cauldrons. People don't need to bring their own elemental potions of power. You'd be a madman to bring your own, because there'll be a cauldron that will provide more. More for less. Shame they're account bound. True. Cauldrons always have been, though. 25 potions each for a mythic raid team. Pretty much. A primal convergent. How do we make this again? Primal convergent is one of each of the awakened essences. These aren't going to be cheap either, by the way. These probably will not cost the equivalent of 400 of those potions, but these of themselves won't be particularly cheap. On the flip side, in pugs, people are going to be like, no way am I spending that much gold giving these nutters a cauldron. Maybe, because 100 of those potions is not going to be cheap. These regular potions in the first place. Hang on. Elemental potion of power. Elemental potion of power. You get 5 elemental potions of power. Oh my god. Oh my lord. Okay, that probably needs a rebalance. That probably needs a rebalance. I mean, these are ludicrously expensive to begin with. Yeah, you ain't never going to see a cauldron being placed down in a pug. These cauldrons are going to be big bucks. Because if it stays, you know, acid, because 100 of these puppy dogs, that's not cheap. That's not cheap. That's 20 crafts of that. That's 20 primal convergence, 20 omnium draconis, 100 vials, which are basically free, and then 20 awakened air on top of that. Yeah, that's mad expensive. And then there's the potion cauldron of ultimate power, which takes 150 of the potions and a primal convergence. 2742 for 30 seconds. 2150 but for 45 seconds. Less oomph, but 50% duration increase. So, yeah. That's going to be the one that people really want. The awakened mats were a byproduct of milling too. Or is that something else I'm thinking of? They were, yes. They were, yes. But very periodically. At least, but milling was busted. Milling was straight up broken anyway, so. And hopefully when we get herbalism and mining, we might find out if they actually come from, you know, gathering naturally. I think they need to. These rousing and these awakened reagents are used in practically every single profession. Meaning that these need to be quite readily available, I feel. Does it say that players can use their something to exchange for the potions? Creates a cauldron that raid members can use to exchange 15 of their... Oh my god! Haha! Yeah, you were right. I didn't catch that. Create a cauldron that raid members can use to exchange 15 of their primal chaos for fleeting elemental potions of ultimate power. Primal chaos is a bind-on pickup crafting reagent that's likely to be quite aggressively limited. This is going to mean... This could mean... Let's look at this from a perspective of a progression raid guild. You're going to progress the boss using regular cauldrons because there's just a... Let's just call it a gold cost to these. When you feel that you're actually pushing to kill the boss, though, that's when you might switch it up and it'd be like, right, boys, it's time for the ultimate cauldron. Time for the ultimate cauldron. Get your primal chaos crystals at the ready. Damn. Good spot. I missed that. That's going to be an interesting twist. I'm one extra thing for players like Max and Scripe to worry about. You can you can run around and you can make elemental potions of ultimate power yourself, in theory. But for 20 of them, you have to turn in a primal chaos. This is your primal chaos, for example. Interesting. Do I use my primal chaos on potions or do I use it on work orders? Yeah, this is it. Do I save it up to improve my gear or do I burn them on consumables? Even raiders are going to have meaningful choice when it comes to crafting professions. They're going to get these components via their raiding. They're going to get these components and they're going to have to choose where they spend them. Interesting. Okay. Well, as far as alchemy is concerned then, I can pretty much categorically guarantee that it's going to be a pain in the ass to level it to 100. Since you are fundamentally either going to be beholden to pressing your research buttons as often as possible, which you may be limited to how often you can press this button in the first place, considering it uses artisan's metal. The advanced ones you have to unlock via the spec tree. So you're going to be chasing those in the first place. So you may end up in the first week or so only having basic experimentation, meaning and having both only basic experimentation and having a limited resource of these artisans' metals. You may then want to start chasing reputation with any given faction to pick up either the Bis Cauldron, which, whilst will guarantee you skill points, is going to be an outrageously expensive way of doing it, because you then can't do anything with these cauldrons unless you happen to be an active member in your guild at the same time. Or you're going to try and hunt down this puppy dog, which is equally going to be primarily a work order bait potion, I would imagine, which means you're going to have to fulfill work orders because these use primal chaos. Or you are going to have to be an active raider or endgame player, acquire these, and then choose to spend them making these to level up your alchemy at the same time. Because there's nothing... Oh, apart from your trinkets, and then try and get work orders for your trinkets, however you get the trinkets. Interesting profession. Interesting profession. You can... Okay. So even your transmutes, when you unlock your transmutes, they're all going to be a combo. You take a combo of materials to make something. It's going to be fun to see how all of these materials balance out, because even with now what I feel is that... Why did that just change? Even with a lot of knowledge of the profession so far, it's still proving difficult to sort of gauge which of the materials are going to be the valuable ones or not. Because it's tough to say just which items are going to be needed more so than others. All the bind-on pickup items are so counterintuitive, and it seems to scuff up the professions, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm massively against all this bind-on pickup stuff. There is no way in my mind that a potion should ever be bind-on pickup. It's just dumb. That, like, the only reason that, you know, the only reason a potion is bind-on pickup is for one reason, and that one reason alone is so that Blizzard can force you to use the work order system. Which means the work order system better be really good. And it's not going to be. It's the God's honest truth. So yeah, I'm greatly against them using bind on pickup so loosely with all of the professions. Is there anything you can suggest for a returning player? In regards to what? If you're referring to like how, you know, if that's a you know, a sneaky way of practically saying how do I make gold? At the moment, there's not so many options. Retail right now, there's not so many options. The time for good gold making is past. Professions or class to go as? Well, if you really are just starting out, Druid with Herbalism and Mining is always, you know, a great combination. Druid with Herbalism and Mining will mean you can run around Zereth Mortis and just pick up stuff. And pick up stuff fast. That's kind of the... The day has come when go farm transmog is legit better advice than actually just go farm current world content mats. You're not far wrong. You're not far wrong. The auction house is in a bit of a state right now, so you can't really rely too much on the auction house. Alright, okay. I don't think there's much more I need to... Okay, whilst I may not be able to work out exactly where everything comes from, I can make sure... Should we take a little bit of a look at what all of the potions and stuff actually do? Raw gold farms? Oh god. It's the end of BFA all over again. Pog Essence and Zereth Mortis. Yeah, if you play for Team EU, then your Pog Essences are selling instantly for 2,500 gold each right now. So you can probably get 4 or 5 of those an hour if you're reasonable at farming in Zereth Mortis. You can make 10k gold an hour just off Progenitor Essentia. Anything else you pick up on your travels is then a bonus. And that's practically 10k an hour, like, guaranteed. Because, you know, you'll sell them within a matter of seconds of listing them. While dead, assault your enemy's consciousness with what remains of your own, dealing a bunch of damage. Eh? Whoa, what is this? What is this for a potion? Hello? So you can only use this potion whilst dead. So you get killed in arena. You're going to then assault your enemy's consciousness with what remains of your own, dealing 30,000 nature damage over 18 seconds. So you just apply a dot to your target when you're dead. Should you be revived, the remaining damage will be dealt instantly. Releasing your spirit will return your consciousness to you and cancel the effect. Ah, you can't use pots in arena. Peepo sad. Ah, well then there goes the one place where that could have been fun. Then, goes to show how much arena I do. All right, maybe Mythic Plus. Maybe Mythic Plus. Maybe everybody's died. It's just the tank alive. Everybody, quick. Everybody use your channeling agent potions. 4 people put up a dot on a boss. What's that? 120,000 damage. If the tank can survive another 18 seconds. Sacrificial gnomes incoming. Yeah, true. That's quite funny. Girlfriend got a long boy with raw gold farms. After that, she had a 3-month WoW break until Shadowlands pre-patch hit. Yeah, people that did raw gold farming for that were just mad. Actually mad. Distilled Primal Infusion can make item level 429 gear. That's between 224 to 234 Mythic Raid item level. Maybe goodbye to Raid BOEs. Raid BOEs will still be a thing, but they'll it's just another alternative way of gearing. Bis pot for LFR. You're probably right. You're probably right. Well, that was a fun potion. Bottled Putrescence. Throw to spread rotten decay to susceptible creatures and wildlife. This will also deal nature damage to enemies. Propel forward a short distance, momentarily weightless. Envelop you in a field of static for 30 seconds, discharging every 5 seconds to deal 3k damage and reveal nearby enemies. How good for pulling people out of stealth. Enemies struck by this effect are unable to enter stealth or invis for 6 seconds. Invis potion. Who knows? Not yet implemented. Mana potion. Right, what are the fire potions then? Oh, frost potion, sorry. Drink to chill your body to elevate your focus, allowing you to restore mana. Use upon a fallen ally to spread restorative spores nearby, which cling to allies and heal them for a bunch of damage. Usable on yourself whilst dead. Haha! There's quite a lot of potions that you can use whilst dead, which is an odd choice. If you die in LFR, then at least you can do is heal people, I suppose. Back when multi-boxing raw gold was actually worth it. As long as you weren't trying to also pay for game time with that raw gold. That became a bit of a problem. But yes, I do agree. Boomkins went burr. Raw gold farming. You could make 30, 40k an hour with an 8 box team. Just raw gold. It was pretty disgusting. Ultimately, probably part of the reason why they, you know, restricted it quite some. Oh, this is one of the toxic potions, look. Consume this vile concoction to instantly heal you for 125k, but suffer the same amount as plague damage over 15 seconds. So this is going to be where those Kiss Curse, the Kiss Curse effects come into play. There was a spec, on our spec tree, there was the ability to reduce the, somewhere along the lines, there was, one of these was to limit the damage that they did. Was it in here? I think it was in Alchemical Theory. Decayology. Damage taken from the side effects of drinking toxic potions and vials is reduced by 25%. Yeah, because in theory, right, if you take one of these right now, sure, you heal for 125k damage. You heal for 125k, but you're going to take 125k. So it's a net, you know, sure, it gives healers a chance to get to you, but you're still going, you know, there's still, it's +1, -1. But you can then spec into it to limit that decay. Damage taken from the side effects of drinking toxic potions and vials is reduced by an additional 25%. So you're going to basically take 50% off by the time you've maxed this. Quite cool. Quite cool. Burning purifications, not a thing yet. Drink to collapse onto the ground, frozen in state near death for 60 seconds, tricking enemies into ignoring you. Cannot be used while in combat. I mean, that would be super duper useful if you could use it in combat. I can't think of too many scenarios why you'd want to do that whilst... Because, you know, that's basically a hunter's feign death. It's a feign death potion. But you tend not to need to feign death if you're already not in combat. Am I being dumb? Is there some really obvious use for this that I can't work out? Why would you freeze yourself in a state of near death for 60 seconds, tricking enemies into ignoring you? Why would you do that if you don't have aggro anyway? Cannot be used while in combat. I cannot think of a single good use for this. This just feels dumb. Either this is dumb or I'm dumb. Depends if there's a big wandering elite in the open world. Yeah, Fel Reaver creeps up on you or something. Maybe. But I mean, if you're not in combat, just run away, right? Surely? Maybe you can't run away. Heck, I can't get out of here. Feign death. I don't know. Very, very situational. Would be far more beneficial if you could use it whilst in combat to drop combat. That would be wonderful. Those would sound like hotcakes. Sell a feign death to all the classes that don't have one. That would be almost a mandatory keep in your bag. You'd keybind that shit if you're if you weren't a class with an aggro drop. You'd have these potions keybound. We've looked at the cauldrons. We've looked at the elemental vials and potions. These are just bonkers level powerful, but they're also going to be expensive as all hell. Regular vials. After taking actions besides healing for 5 seconds, your next heal will do more damage. Your next heal will be increased by 10k, I should say. Not do more damage. I swear the Fel Reaver had stealth. He did. The roar noise also was, for some reason, emitted from my headphones far too frequently. Be careful with the new mobile auction house. I bought some Pog Essence last night for what I showed was silvers, but after logging in, the cost was 3,100 gold each. Okay. I would not be trusting anything the mobile auction house does, to be honest. I would not be surprised if the mobile auction house disappears just as fast, you know. I know they've only just brought it back, but there was clearly, now I know this is very off topic for what we were talking about, but there was clearly a dupe going on of Progenitor Essentia over on the NA. Clearly a dupe, right? There was no doubt in my mind the fact that you had multiple level 1s with random ass names all of a sudden trying to sell like stacks of Progenitor Essentia out of nowhere. There is no way that I believe that that was legit. And oh so frequently, whenever there's been a dupe in the past, wherever some clever clogs has worked out how to duplicate items, it is nearly always involved the mobile auction house in some way, shape or form. Which is, you know, a big reason to why it disappeared in the first place. Because it was just, you know, it was causing more problems than it was solving. I know they've brought it back. I'm almost certain the only reason they've brought it back is to increase downloads momentarily on the app. Because if you have the app installed in your phone, then by default they can send you notifications, which is the main reason why these companies want you to download their app, so they can bombard you with notifications on a device that is always in your hand. Blizzard historically have not been very good at that, but other companies out there are crazy good at it. Remaining stationary will increase your intellect by nearly 500 for 5 seconds. Movement will consume the effect, granting a bunch of speed for 5 seconds. Wow. It's difficult enough to get a mage to move in the first place. Now the mage is going to be stacking up 500 plus intellect by not moving. That mage is going to stay standing in the fire, isn't he? That mage is not moving. Absolutely. Well, I could move, but I'll lose 0.1 DPS per second, so that's not happening. Oh dear. Oh, healers are going to love that one. Your intellect is increased by 132 for each enemy that is attacking you, stacking up to 5 times. It's a good one for a tank. Obviously, I'm currently playing on a mage, which is why it says intellect. It will probably switch to like strength or something if you're a tank. Aerated Vial of Deafness. Increase your deafness by a bunch. We still don't really understand what deafness does. This is a gathering thing. Gathering flask. Speed flask. Increase your speed by 516. Lasts 30 minutes and through death. Consuming a second will add another 30 minutes. So, speed flask. Increases your crafting speed by nearly 1,000. So, crafter's alchemy flask. The fact that these use artisan's metals, though, are going to make these remarkably... Although you do make 10 of them for just one item. I wonder if that will become... Yeah, it's a bit of a chef's hat situation, yeah. Craft faster when you've got this flask activated. Test if Shimmer cancels the effect. Why would Shimmer cancel the effect? I'm confused. Does it usually? It's not yet implemented though, so I can't actually test these anyway. Oh, because Shimmer counts as movement. Where's the... It was this one, right? File of static empowerment. I can't because I don't have the recipe. I don't have the recipe. Gain Corrupting Rage, which grants a bunch of crit. After suffering 100% of your health in damage, you briefly swap to Overwhelming Rage, which causes you to take 100% of your health as nature damage over 30 seconds. Oh, that's another one of the toxic ones. Which means you can limit that in some way. That's a lot of crit. Damage taken is decreased by 4% while above 50% health, but increased by 4% whilst under it. Nice little kiss curse one. Drink the vial to embrace the inner snowstorm. Whenever you attack a new target, gain a stack of glacial fury for 15 seconds, up to 10 stacks. Dealing damage has a chance to blast enemies near your target for X amount per stack. Perception by a bunch. Finesse by a bunch. Verse by a bunch. Okay. They seem pretty placeholder. Then we got transmutes. When crafting, increase inspiration by 10 and multi-craft by 10. Multi-craft by 6. Thrive Fire Oil is the one that sounds interesting to me. 9% more likelihood to improve at your profession, but increasing the difficulty. Can't wait for all these potions to be dirt cheap so I can figure out how to break the old world stuff. Yeah, a lot of these things tend to go completely wackadoodle when you take them out of the expansion they were designed for. Do frost mages still have power multiplier to frost spells? Could be a cool vial for it then. Could be. This Glacial Fury one, yeah. Doing frost damage. If a frost mage does more frost damage, I don't know. I mean, they might do. Or is that just an old school thing? Is it all just considered magic damage nowadays? I'm not sure if the three different categories of damage count. I don't know. I don't play a mage anywhere near enough. Yeah, not sure is the honest answer. I don't know. Place down a pleasant incense that soothes the mind of everybody nearby, granting increased inspiration for 20 minutes. Doing the same, but invigorate everybody's mood. Light an agitating incense sure to incite intense emotions. A soothing incense intended to induce a peaceful slumber. These sound remarkably silly. I think I can buy these. Actually, just thinking about it. See what these actually do then. So if we place down, what's this one? Soothes the mind, granting increased inspiration for 20 minutes. Does this do inspiration increased by 0? Wow. Why would I ever want to give my competitors inspiration? Yeah, that's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? Why would I want to give my fellow crafters an advantage? Why would I want to give them the ability to craft something at a higher quality than I can? Luckily, 0 inspiration, so peaceful slumber. You feel yourself falling into a deep sleep. It stopped. I mean, I fell asleep. I don't know what it does. I'm asleep, apparently. I wonder if somebody... Well, you've got to click on it to get the buff. Okay. It feels weird. I was wondering if you know, everybody around me had fallen asleep, but there's nobody around me. Okay. Was it... Oh, what? Cooldown remaining? What do you mean cooldown remaining? This is the... 8-minute cooldown on these things. Oh, okay. Well, I was going to test the others, but... Flipping cooldown on them. That's a shame. Crafters Guild incoming. Share the gathering, crafting specs, etc. It would be quite cool if it wasn't for the fact that, I mean, people have tried to make like gold making guilds and stuff in the past. But what you can never get away from is the fact that people are in direct competition with each other. This has always been one of the arguments against, you know, like people making gold-making YouTube videos. It's like, well, now you've told everybody, it goes to shit within about 3 minutes. And this is always the problem with gold-making guilds. And building any form of community around gold-making is quite tough to actually do in-game. A lot more easy to do outside of game. Especially since collusion can actually get you banned for some reason. Well, yeah, this is also true. If you team up and work together, if you like, you know, if you all pitch in to buy out the entire auction, you know, the entire auction house of any given material, that level of collusion can actually be a bannable offense, which is odd. Perfectly acceptable in the free market to do it yourself. But if you were to team up with others to monopolize or, you know, collude with others to gain an advantage, it's bannable, which is really odd. Alright then. I think I'm about done with alchemy. I think I've tested everything I need to do with alchemy. I was going to look at cooking a little bit today as well, but I'm going to be brutally honest, cooking's just boring, isn't it? Cooking's just boring. There's nothing that's really that interesting with cooking. I might do a quick sort of 5-minute overview of cooking, but I'm certainly not going to go in depth with it like I have with the other professions. I'm probably then going to call it there for today. We'll probably return and do... Oh, it's reset day tomorrow, isn't it? Reset day tomorrow. Are we going to do anything interesting tomorrow? We're going to... it depends what happens. If we get a new alpha patch, and more importantly, if we get herbalism and mining or enchanting, that will be the focus of tomorrow's stream. But that obviously requires there to be a new alpha patch. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll leave the schedule open to decide what we do. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, expect a little bit of a video for those who have maybe jumped in halfway through, or for maybe those that want something in more solid form to sit down and watch in short form. I'll put together my little overview. A fishing stream. Maybe I'll do that for maybe I'll do a subathon maybe for fishing, but like an anti-subathon. I will continue fishing until enough people subscribe. until I get 50 subs, I'm just going to continue fishing. We'll stop fishing once the subs come in, maybe. That's gross. I'm terrible at sellouts. Terrible. If Matthew goes on rant mode during leveling, imagine what happens during fishing. Yeah, that's probably true. It's probably not all that sensible for me to... I'll probably end up cancelling myself if I end up doing too much fishing. It's why I don't farm. The more monotonous a task I'm doing in-game, the more likely I am to get into a rant about something. So, yeah, it gets real dangerous real quick. But anyway, we'll leave the schedule open for tomorrow then. I will get a little alchemy video put together. My thoughts on alchemy. Generally, a quick TLDR for anybody that cares. I actually think alchemy's looking pretty cool. I like the reclaiming aspect. I think they could actually do more with this. More importantly, not only do I think they could do more with this reclaiming, I think they could expand this to other professions as well. Recycling lower quality shit, I think, is quite important. As otherwise it will mount up and mount up and mount up and just, you know, turn to dust, you know, just gather dust. It'd be nice to be able to use some of the lower quality stuff that you make at the beginning, even if you struggle to sell it. It's a nice catch-up system as well in a way. It'd be nice to be able to reclaim some of the stuff. You only need to look at low-level legendaries. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Low-level legendaries is a good example. If there was some way to consume or to recycle or reuse low-level legendaries, the whole system might not have been quite so gross. maybe that was kind of the thought, right? That tier 1 basic bitch healing potions are going to end up being, you know, like 1 silver a piece. Nobody's going to care for them. At least if you can pick them up and turn them into something useful, they may hold some value, even if it's not for the original intended purpose of it, which I think is quite cool. Spec trees are pretty basic right now. Spec trees are basic. Vial Mastery, Potion Mastery, just carbon copies of each other. And the slight annoyance of that, you're going to have to skill up to 100 to unlock the 3rd one, which is going to be practically impossible for a couple of weeks, the way that it looks at the moment, but we'll see. Anyway, boys and girls, I'm rambling. I will leave it there for today. Thank you all for watching. Hit that follow button if you haven't already. Consider subscribing if you're enjoying the show. And we'll be back again tomorrow. Have a good one. Peace.